From the station working for you, this is WRTV News at 5:30, streaming now.
Now at 5:30, the coronavirus pandemic continues to impact families across the Hoosier state. Coming up, we look at one organization providing help for families who need it.
Topping our lineup, some states are now making plans to vet any COVID-19 vaccines themselves. We're getting perspective on what that would mean legally for states to go over the federal government's authority. The pandemic is impacting drugs coming into the U.S. illegally. The new challenge border agents are facing as both the type of drugs and who is moving them changes. The government is warning about a possible danger with nursing pillows, how some advocates say this is highlighting the need to make safety standards mandatory on all baby products.
Many families right now are struggling to make ends meet and struggling to put food on the table for their kids. WRTV's Kelsey Anderson explains how you can help those struggling or get help if you need it.
Who's in the farm?
Chickens.
The chickens?
The chicken.
And who else?
Corey and Lauren Schneider's family got a little bigger this summer.
We're excited to have her in our lives for the rest of our lives.
Through Safe Families for Children, they've met Gabby, a spunky 2-year-old who lights up any room.
What does a cow say?
Moo.
Moo.
Gabby's mom doesn't have family who lives nearby and couldn't take care of her while she was on bed rest and then delivered a baby boy who had to stay in the NICU for several weeks. So she reached out to Safe Families for help.
Safe Families is not just glorified babysitting. It's not, let me call you up, come take my kid for a couple of days. It's much more than that. It's much deeper than that.
Schneider says they act as an extended family now for Gabby and her mom, there to help in times of need.
It's not about taking baby from mom because mom's not doing something right. It's about coming alongside mom, coming alongside baby, or 0 to 18, and saying, we want to love on you, we want to care on you, we want to stand next to you during a hard time or during a time when you need help, and then we want to reunite your family together.
The Schneiders are what's called a host family with Safe Families for Children. But Lauren says if hosting isn't something you can do, she tells me there are dozens of ways you can help.
You can provide babysitting. You can provide rest care, what we call respite care. You can provide meals. You can provide food. You can provide cleaning services, really anything. You can be a family coach, so you can work with, if you like to work with adults more, you can work with those moms and dads who might need a little extra help.
Now, besides Gabby and her mom, the Schneiders have gained a community of folks they now know won't hesitate to help.
We didn't have anything, and our community has donated everything for us. This experience has changed us, and even if Gabby doesn't remember us, which she might not, we will always remember her.
Working for you, Kelsey Anderson, WRTV.
Gabby is back with her mom and new baby brother now, but Safe Families still needs help. You can learn how to get involved by visiting this story on the WRTV News app. Kyle, a hot day out there.
Yeah, another beautiful day here across central Indiana. The sun has been shining bright and those temperatures have been warming up now. We've got numbers that are actually in the 80s here around Sullivan at 84, 83 in Bloomington made it to 78, and that is our current temperature in Indianapolis while you're at 76 in Tipton. We've got that light wind that's out of the west, and look at the humidity, super low out there, just 25%. We are going to be staying fairly dry here over the next couple of days. You can see the moderate drought and the dry conditions continuing to expand in coverage. No rain really coming our way here anytime soon. We look down to the south. There is Hurricane Delta, a Category 3 storm with winds of 115 miles per hour that will come our way, possibly bringing some rain for the weekend.
Facebook says it has new safeguards in place to deal with potential election issues, like notices that'll pop up if someone claims premature victory or if official results are contested. They're also trying to prevent voter suppression and intimidation. Facebook already banned messages that promote carrying weapons to polling places or that attempt to organize coordinated interference with voting. Now it will also ban the use of militarized language in connection with calls for poll watching.
We put together fact sheets on voter intimidation, really so that voters will understand that intimidation is against the law in all 50 states and against federal law.
Legal experts at Georgetown Law walked us through voter intimidation and the legality of armed groups that have shown up recently in large cities in the wake of racial justice protests. Voter intimidation is basically any act that attempts to intimidate or interfere with anyone voting. That could be threats, yelling, trying to physically block polling places, questioning someone about their political choices, citizenship status, or criminal record, and also putting up signs or spreading false info about voting requirements and procedures. It is not protected under free speech. When it comes to armed groups like we saw in Kenosha, Wisconsin, there are laws against that behavior too.
And by that, really, we're talking about that coordinated, armed use of force or projection of the ability to use force.
Mary McCord points out that a militia is defined as a group called up by the government, not self-organized efforts. She also says many people may think these groups are protected under the Second Amendment right to bear arms, but they're not.
The Supreme Court has been very clear as far back as 1886 that the Second Amendment does not protect private paramilitary organizations and that states may prevent them.
Okay, so take a picture of your screen. If you witness anything that may be voter intimidation, you are urged to call authorities to enforce these laws. Also, report it to local election officials, but also report it to the Election Protection Helpline at 1-866-OUR-VOTE. Their website is 866ourvote.org. More to get to in our lineup. Some states are now making plans to vet any COVID-19 vaccines themselves. We're getting perspective on what that would mean legally for states to go over the federal government's authority. At least 6 states and Washington, D.C. say they want to review any approved COVID-19 vaccine on their own. New York and California say they've already convened expert panels for that purpose. They've cited concerns about political interference by the Trump administration in the approval process.
It's not a good idea for individual states to make their own decisions. This is a national public health emergency. And, if it's approved or not approved, states really shouldn't be taking it into their own hands.
That's Lawrence Gostin. He's the director of the World Health Organization's Center on National and Global Health Law. He says states don't have the power to grant or remove a vaccine approval. Congress has designated that sole authority to the FDA. Gostin says the role of the CDC will be interesting because they're supposed to advise states on science-based policies, and the federal government cannot force state public health agencies to distribute a vaccine.
Individuals in that state could still get the vaccine in other ways through their doctors, their pharmacies. But state public health departments just might say, no, we're not cooperating.
Gostin says the FDA commissioner has assured him the process will be safe. Earlier this week, the agency said manufacturers will need to follow strict guidelines that would make it unlikely to get approval before Election Day. Still, the Secretary for Health and Human Services does technically have the power to approve a vaccine over the head of the FDA commissioner. But Gostin says that would cause public trust to plummet even further. Next in our lineup, drug smuggling is changing amid the pandemic, and it's not just impacting the U.S. border. The new challenge border agents are facing is both the type of drugs and who's moving them changes. Dick's Sporting Goods plans to hire up to 9,000 people to work through the holiday season. That's 1,000 more workers than they hired last year. The chain says it expects a jump in online orders, which can be picked up curbside or in store. It also expects people to shop in store for things like kayaks, golf clubs, and bikes. Sam's Club is also hiring for the shopping season. The warehouse chain is looking for 2,000 permanent full-time employees. They'll work at fulfillment centers and distribution sites. Workers at fulfillment centers will receive a $2 hourly premium. COVID-19 is impacting fire training across the country. Several training academies are no longer operating. Kai Beach takes us to one that it changed how it trains.
On the opposite fire station.
Copy, one victim located opposite.
At Allen Hancock College's Fire Academy, Battalion 146 is going through intense rescue scenarios.
Hey, help a brother out!
Training these future firefighters is Academy Coordinator Andy Densmore.
You tried to go.
Who's been in this industry for almost 4 decades and is retiring at the end of this year.
There's nothing you can do about it. We have to make the change.
Changes due to COVID-19.
You got 2 rescues going on.
Since the pandemic hit,
Go ahead and recycle.
Academy class sizes have been cut by a third. Cadets are screened before they enter the facilities, social distance once they're in, and wear masks when they're not in face pieces.
The nice part is we asked these kids for their commitment the first day we met them. And we said, there's only one variable in this entire program, and it's you.
As Densmore's career comes to a close during this crisis,
we're all going to walk together. This is my captain.
Camilla Schaefer, class president of Battalion 146,
I'm ladder,
is just starting hers.
Whether it's a pandemic, it's a fire, it's a surf rescue, we'll answer that call.
Schaefer says instructors can control all aspects of a cadet's day while on campus.
Yeah, put her in her full gear.
But once they leave the academy, cadets are committed to an individual responsibility.
On weekends, we're studying, we're hitting the books. We're making sure that we're not out there putting our battalion in jeopardy and possibly getting this virus.
Employment of firefighters is projected to grow faster than the average for all occupations across the country. And while this fire academy is training under a cloud of new challenges,
Is she relatively fresh, or is she out?
Densmore believes smaller class sizes could make cadets like Schaefer better prepared than firefighters of the past.
We don't graduate mediocre. I mean, our standards are really, really high, and we exceed what the state requires.
I'm Kai Beach reporting.
We have just learned the Indianapolis Metro Police Department is selling its helicopter and ending the aviation program. Metro Police officials say these unprecedented times have led to shrinking budgets, and the program has become too costly. Police departments across the country have cited similar reasons for ending their aviation programs. It's been a colorful sign of hope and progress during the pandemic, and today, the Pinwheel Gardens at Franciscan Health added a finishing touch for 2020. Workers made the final pinwheel replacements of the year at the Southside campus. Each one of the pinwheels represent a patient who had COVID-19 and has been discharged from the hospital. So far this year, there have been 477 people successfully treated at the hospital.
And tomorrow, those pinwheels will be twirling pretty good as the wind is going to be picking up a little bit out of that southwest direction. It's been pretty light out there today. Near perfect as we've got lots of sunshine that we are enjoying once again. And let's take you to Greencastle, where you can see some of those trees and the fall color that is taking over. We got 78 degrees right now downtown, 83 for you in Bloomington, and 75 in Kokomo with sunshine and a light north wind. Tonight, temperatures will be fairly comfortable. We'll say comfortably cool as we drop down into the 50s, upper 40s, though, around Peru, Logansport, and Kokomo, a low of 51 in Columbus. We'll see a few high, thin clouds here as we go through the overnight and into tomorrow morning. This is on the periphery of Hurricane Delta there in the Gulf. But as we go into the day tomorrow, we will make a little more sunshine back in the sky here into the afternoon. A couple of those clouds once again. There you start to see that thicker cloud deck around North Vernon, Seymour, and Bedford as we get into tomorrow evening. But we will see even warmer temperatures tomorrow. Again, as that breeze kicks in through the afternoon, it gets us already into the low 70s for your lunch hour tomorrow. Partly sunny skies as we go into the afternoon, and temperatures that will be about 10 to 15 degrees above average here as we get to 82 in Indy, 84 in Columbus, and 83 Friday afternoon in Lafayette. Here's a look at Delta. Again, right now it is a Category 3 hurricane expected to make landfall late tomorrow in Louisiana, moving northeast from there as we go into the weekend. And what's left of it will be bringing some rain, certainly to portions of Tennessee and Kentucky, possibly parts of central Indiana. This is as we go through the day on Sunday, but you can see that TrueCast keeping most of the rain here across southeastern locations. So we may not all see that wet weather that we desperately need at this point. Look, the 7-day planning forecast, mild temperatures here as we go through Saturday, even Sunday, 75 with more clouds, a few showers, another chance for some rain on Monday. Then we'll dry it out again behind that weather system. Temperatures can't really complain about this here as we go toward the middle of October with highs in the 70s. Lindsay?
Yelp is launching a new alert for businesses accused of racist behavior. The online platform's red icon alert will appear on pages if there's a sudden onslaught of racist reviews, and additional comments will be temporarily suspended while they're investigated. Yelp says it's to protect the rating for businesses that may actually be innocent but still warn customers of the accusations. Sesame Street is again planning to tackle racism, this time teaching children how to stand up against it. The new special is called The Power of We. The half-hour show will teach kids what racism looks like and what to do if they hear something hurtful. This special will be in a Zoom-like format, and it will air on PBS stations and be available for streaming on HBO Max next Thursday. America's largest bank is making more loans available for Black and Latino borrowers. JP Morgan says it's to help close the racial wealth gap. The bank is committing $30 billion over the next 5 years to the effort, which focuses heavily on access to affordable housing. The loans will be available for home buyers and small business owners. Children of 9/11 first responders are coming together to share their stories. It's a project spearheaded by a woman whose dad responded to the terror attacks and survived. She was 10 at the time. And while each family experienced the day differently, she says it's important to raise awareness that this is a community that still needs support.
Through connecting with others and my own experience and getting help with being a 9/11 first responder child has helped me, so I hope that it would help others as well.
The project has already gathered 50 personal stories and is looking for more. The book is due out next year on the 20th anniversary of the attacks. In the war on drugs, the border is the front line. The pandemic is changing how cartels and other drug organizations are getting narcotics into the United States. As Dan Grossman shows us, this is something that has far-reaching effects to every community in the country.
3404, offer 3.
It's 11:30 in the morning along the U.S.-Mexico border.
I think they're still in these 3 houses right here.
2 people have just jumped the wall separating Nogales, Mexico, a town of 200,000, and Nogales, Arizona, a town of 20,000.
Yeah, from this point here, we're just going to assist that agent just by being another set of eyes.
For us, this is unexpected as it happened in the middle of our interview. But for agents like Daniel Hernandez,
it's literally a constant. I was just looking in that direction and we saw her cross our field of vision.
It is every day, especially with those trying to traffic drugs since the pandemic started.
Initially, we were seeing small football-shaped bundles being thrown over the fence, etc. We've seen that expand to backpack operations with 100-plus pounds to catching vehicles loaded with 600-plus pounds.
CBP says because of COVID, traffic through this port has decreased 60 to 70%, but they're still seizing the same amount of drugs as last year. They say that means 2 things are happening. Who is trafficking is changing, and the drugs being trafficked are changing as well.
We've seen an increase in fentanyl over the last year.
Michael Humphreys is the Mariposa Port Director in Nogales. He says because COVID has made fewer trips possible, the cartel and other drug organizations are moving smaller, higher profit narcotics like fentanyl and methamphetamine. In June alone, his officers seized just under 1 million tablets of fentanyl from smugglers, many of whom are American citizens who can travel more easily across the border because of COVID travel restrictions.
164,000 tablets of fentanyl wasn't coming to the border. It was going way beyond. It was going, to Vermont and Ohio and Kentucky and Detroit.
So they'll sit up on that ridge and scout and see where we are.
It's also led to more body carriers, as Border Patrol agent in charge Sabri Dickman calls them. The less in port traffic means higher scrutiny, so people will strap drugs to their body, as seen in this image sent to us from Customs and Border Protection, or they'll internally carry and hop the wall or try to move the drugs through tunnels as a way to circumvent it.
That's significant. We had a 65-kilogram seizure of methamphetamine in one of the tunnels in downtown Nogales. 65 kilograms, hard to place that into context. That's 65,000 doses.
Yeah, it's already like on the west side of the cut there.
For these agents and officers, trying to stop that movement is part of the job, one that is located here, but whose effects are felt in every community across the country. Reporting from the U.S.-Mexico border, I'm Dan Grossman.
Finally in our lineup, the government is warning about a possible danger with nursing pillows. How some advocates say this is highlighting the need to make safety standards mandatory on all baby products. Parents, grandparents, listen up, especially if you have a newborn in your house or family. The government is actively investigating the use of nursing pillows. So far, 28 infant deaths have been linked to nursing cushions and lounging pads. Now, while the investigation is ongoing, the government found it important to warn parents about the potential dangers now. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says these products pose a suffocation hazard, usually when the babies fall asleep.
It's critically important that you only use a crib, bassinet, or play yard for infant sleep, because those are the ones that meet mandatory standards for safety.
Consumer Reports analyzed data from the CPSC. Take a look at your screen. The warning includes products by these companies. Most of them are sold on Amazon, at Bed Bath & Beyond, Target, and other major stores. Baby loungers and lounging pads fall into a gray area when it comes to safety, and not all baby products have to meet strict standards.
Sometimes it's very unclear to parents whether they're supposed to be used for sleep or not. And parents have to sort through countless different products on the market.
So that's why Consumer Reports wants to see safety standards mandatory on all baby products. The government will issue an official recall on nursing pillows after their investigation is done, and it's possible that additional products will be included in that recall. There's mounting concern over the convergence of COVID-19 and flu season. Tomorrow, what health experts say about the number of hospital beds available to treat both types of patients and the region of the country doctors say worries them most.
And we still got a little sunlight here before that sun will set to enjoy this evening. Our temperature 73 degrees for you at 7 o'clock. Stays pretty mild even as we'll have just a couple of clouds out there, really the high thin clouds. Numbers are in the 60s right on through 11 o'clock tonight. And we are going to be warming up here for Friday. 82 the afternoon high. Will be to 80 degrees on Saturday. Think we'll be dry through then a chance for some showers, especially over southeastern portions of the state by Sunday. A little cooler heading into next week. Thanks for joining us at 5:30.